We are back for another video, and yes, we're going back to the 1970s, only this time with a bit of a cold, so please excuse my voice. But, you know what they say in show business? Hey, the show must go on. Right, we're back in the 1970s, and we're still in British social history, and we're looking about food again. This is the food that we were cooking and eating, whether rich or poor, or whether the food was healthy or hearty, part 2 if you like. 50 years ago was the way we prepared and cooked our food, and it was completely different. And the snacks and the fast foods that we have today, junk food, wasn't on any mother's shopping list. So what did we snack? What did we eat? Let's find out. Let's get on with it. 2 rounds of sliced bread, 1 spoon of sugar and half a banana will be the ingredients for a banana sandwich, which was often offered you by your elders. Sounds disgusting? Well, no, not really. Sometimes with a bit of jam added to make that really indulging, whatever the word I'm looking for, experience. Today, people shouldn't assume it's just a pregnancy craving food. It was quite common back in the 70s. Probably maybe common now. I cannot say this word for some reason because YouTube doesn't like it, so I have to describe it. It's a round ball of mince meat with offal, such as heart and kidneys and liver, all wrapped up in a sheep stomach skin. Now these were served with peas, and you boiled them in loads of gravy, and they were delicious when you got them from your butchers. However, you can get the frozen ones by a company called Brains, getting the hint of what I'm talking about, and they made a great cheap and filling meal. In fact, I'll still buy them today, serve them with mashed potatoes. Overcooked vegetables was the norm. How many of you can remember having mushy vegetables, and not just the peas that were supposed to be mushy, due to them being boiled for no less than half an hour before being served on your plate, plus the habit of adding salt to boiling. Now many people will know that adding salt increases the temperature of the boiling water by a degree or so, depending on how much salt you add. This was to quicken the cooking time to save energy costs. So why did they still get half an hour? The water was always used for the gravy, so at least you had some vitamins left there. Gravy was made with corn flour, oxo and bisto, and with all that fat from the meat that you'd just cooked, all thrown in, so that fatty, tasty and warming sensation. Now before Christmas I popped in to Marks and Spencer's. I know. And I saw this ready-made gravy in a small pot, and it was real beef stock gravy, but it was £3.50. I would have had to bought 2 of those to cover my dinner. £7. Sorry Marks and Spencer's, I love you, but I don't love you that much. But if anyone still uses this method to make their gravy, I want an invite, because it was fantastic, wasn't it? Bread was practically served with every cooked meal. Always a loaf on the table every time, so you could make your potato sandwiches or mop up your gravy, or helping you sandwich those vegetables together that you weren't too keen on, adding a bit of salt and pepper just to get them down. Not the meat though. How many of us always left that meat until last? Some, like my father, would have a pie sandwich. Does anyone do this today? And yes, of course, a chip butty. Surely it's got to be butter. Eh? Homemade cake and custard, just a plain cake that we call Madeira to make it sound posh, with sugar on the top for browning, and with bird's custard powder or homemade with real eggs. I've actually looked for any type of custard today, whether tinned or fresh, or whatever, that's actually got eggs in it. I can't find any. Custard with cream, milk, eggs, corn flour and vanilla, or vanilla essence is absolutely worth it if you want to give it a go. Broken biscuits that you got down from the market in those clear bags. Sometimes a bit stingy on the chocolate ones, but you got wafers, custard creams, Lincoln biscuits, remember them? And then when the interest in biscuits had gone, you were left with the broken rich tea, digestives and arrowroot, and of course a massive amount of crumbs at the bottom of the bag. Suet pudding, either savoury, full of meat or gravy, or a dessert method for boiling or steaming a combination of flour, suet. It's a raw hard fat of beef or mutton with added sugar and raisins. It was a filling pudding and inexpensive to serve. The savoury version would have suet casing with all the meat inside and sauce. One favourite was mince and onion or corned beef and potatoes. The casing would be thick but soft and sometimes a little bit greasy. They were nice though, eh? Fray Bentos do these types of savoury puddings today. And speaking of Fray Bentos, well, I'm sure that most of you have had a Fray Bentos pie in our lives. The name has been around since 1865, when they began with corned beef. And the name got much bigger in the Second World War, when its tins of corned beef were being given to millions of soldiers. The famous tin pie came to Britain in 1958, which began with steak and kidney and minced beef and onion. Throughout the 70s, where they were most popular due to its shelf life and convenience. You just lift up the lid with a tin opener. Well, I say lift, it's a little more difficult than it sounds. You bake it for 30 minutes and you watch that pastry rise and rise. Crispy at the top, soggy underneath. It was just a nostalgic treat. Today the pie is available in so many different variations. Curries, full breakfast and even vegetarian. But the price, it ain't half shot up. And I can't seem to find the steak or the steak and ale so much these days. Question: are they as good as they've always been? Does anyone still buy those tin meats such as spam for fritters or that cathedral window-shaped ham with the jelly? Pork luncheon meat or even chicken roll? There used to be a shelf filler in every household. But I took a walk around the supermarket, not Marks and Spencer's, and I looked to see what you could still get. And I was amazed that you could still get loads of these things, but the prices, well, they took me back a bit, I've got to be honest. There used to be a cheap filler for the pantry. Eh? B&M sell them slightly cheaper. Homemade cooked pies from scratch with whatever you could afford to put in it, packed with vegetables, potatoes and even meat if you got it. Nice deep fillings with crumbly pastry and not forgetting to poke 2 holes in the top to stop it from bursting. That's what my dad said. Sometimes when money was tight, my dad used to bake a bean pie or bean pasties just for a change from beans on toast. If you were vegetarian in our house, you never had much meat to pick out of your pies, because that's exactly what my mother would have told you to do. If you're a vegetarian, just pick the meat out, you'll be all right. I knew I should have done chicken. Homemade cooked chips was always on the menu for most people. Not frozen or pre-cut. You wash the potatoes, the ones with the dirt on them, and you peeled them thin so as not to waste anything. And you put them in a deep pan with lard and you just cooked them to perfection. Now, do you remember the Chinese takeaways? They always did those big extra fat chips that were blanched and then fried. Now, I've not seen them since before Judith Chalmers got a suntan. Anybody know where you could get them? They were served with everything. But I'll imagine most of us still have egg and chips or egg and chips and beans or with peas, even today. Comfort meal? Red or brown? Boiled bacon with parsley sauce. We used to get this at school, always with mash and peas. And I can remember when Smash came out, it was all over the TV adverts. We tried it. Now, what did you think? My mother threw it out the window. You can't beat mash with butter, milk and a little bit of mustard. Now, crushed potatoes that you get in restaurants. What's that? Couldn't be bothered to keep on mashing? It's party time. Let's say 1976, and the hot summer demands a garden party together with cold snacks. A prawn cocktail with tired lettuce that had to fold over the side of the dessert glass or the dish if you was not as posh as you were trying to be. Tired lettuce because it had been stood all day in the fridge. Prepared in a pink mayonnaise type of sauce, you just added prawns. And for the exotic people, they added some bits and bobs on top, and I'm sure you've seen the photographs of them, you know. I wonder if you like them. I'm not keen on prawns, but I'm a bit fussy. I'm beginning to sound a bit fussy. I'm sorry about that. Quiche Lorraine, home-filled vol au vents, and a large potato covered with tin foil with sticks. of pineapple, cheese and a pickled onion as what they called a hedgehog, wasn't it? Took ages to prepare and people picked off the onion anyway. And if it had pineapple chunks on it, well, that would be from a tin and it would get wet. Use mild cheese, it doesn't crumble or fall apart. Not forgetting that fruit cocktail from a can with a few cherries. I wonder if those cherries in those tins were actually real. Served with carnation milk. Tinned cream, carnation milk, mainly used if you ran out of fresh milk. But there were many recipes that could be used for carnation milk, such as banoffee pie or homemade fudge. Evaporated milk, they called it. Very sweet taste, and I suppose went very well with your mellow birds and your Maxwell house. We certainly baked a lot more back in the 70s. Treacle tarts, homemade biscuits, fairy cakes with buttercream. That's just butter and margarine, or butter or margarine with sugar mixed up together. Back in the 70s they were cheaper to bake, but today with all this mass product and all these additives extending shelf lives, it's actually cheaper to get them from the shops, but it ain't as nice. Then of course you got to find the time, haven't you? Now forgive me here, but please hear me out. What is the most common meal you remember getting served when being invited to someone's home for dinner? Would it be spaghetti bolognese by any chance? It would be the 70s most popular on the menu. Nearly every invite was what you got. And I don't want to seem ungrateful, but I was absolutely sick of it. Dried spaghetti boiled to death with minced onions, tomatoes, mushrooms and a packet of cooking sauce. Now don't thumb me down, but was it the dinner party effort? That was it. Oh, with a plastic shaker with Parmesan cheese. I mean, the cost of a meal, about 50 pence a head back then. All right, a pound. Black Forest Gatto. Hey, well, how about that, eh? In all the cookbooks, exotic German, which meant we were being continental, with fresh cream and real cherries that took ages to bake, did it? I'll tell you what the instructions are in many houses, yeah? Take out of freezer and wait for it to defrost. If bought that day, don't bother. Slice, lie through your teeth and serve, and thank Sarah Lee under your breath. No one believed you. Trust me, they've just eaten your awful Italian spaghetti dish. Then to the drinks cabinet. Now the drinks cabinet is in a link that's provided later on, and I'll remind you. There was wonderful cocktails that we had in the 70s. Watch that video. Moving on. The fondue set, very popular according to the cookbooks in the 1970s. The idea was to bring all these types of cheeses together in a pot that was stuck in the middle of a table, which was bubbling away, still heating. All this melted cheese was for you to dip your little two-prong fork into a little crouton or some dry bread, into the cheese, eat and have a conversation. That was it. Now, if by 10 p.m. your guests were still there and you had the chance to clean out that fondue pot, which took ages, trust me, chuck a load of chocolate in it, and the next thing you know, you got a fondue dessert. It's a very sophisticated dinner party. I wonder if anybody ever did one, what they did with that pot. Did they ever use it again? I have been invited to a fondue party, and I must confess, it was okay. People were pretending to be better than they were, but it was okay, it was fun. Now we're getting more and more modern, and people are buying TV dinners for the oven. It came in soft aluminium trays with compartments for each part of the meal. You always had peas no matter what you had, but it was mainly meat and veg, potatoes. Or, if you were a vegetarian, the good old macaroni cheese. This, though, was the beginning of the era of families not sitting down to dinner as a unit. And microwave dinners, they were just around the corner in popularity. The family meal was the staple of conversation and the formality that was dying out, and many people reminisce about this even today. Bread and butter pudding, just to finish off. Now, bread and butter pudding was to get rid of those old leftover bread slices that were no longer quite fresh. Cutting your bread into triangles, buttering both sides, adding salt and cinnamon and sultanas and sugar. And make your custard with home fresh eggs and milk and bake it for about 20 minutes. It's absolutely gorgeous and very, very cheap. Well, that's me done, but like I say, don't forget to look at that 1970s drinks cabinet video. I think it's popping on the screen now. And I will see you very soon. And I am very sorry about my voice, but probably think now, please, no, I'm not AI. Unless AI can get laryngitis, who knows? Anyway, thank you so much for your lovely comments, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. I'm Mickey Bavington. Bye-bye for now.